Belize, formerly British Honduras, is the only country in Central America without a coastline on the Pacific Ocean, only the Caribbean Sea to its east, and the only one in the region with English as its official language. Belize is bordered by Guatemala to the west and south and Mexico to the north. With its British colonial history and a long Caribbean coast, Belize is culturally similar to many of Britain's former West Indian island colonies, with a majority Creole or Afro-Caribbean population. But it also includes a large native Mayan population, especially in the north and northwest of the country. As a result, although English is the official language, Spanish is also often spoken. In the southeast along the Caribbean coast live the Garifuna, Black Caribs, and Afro-Amerindian culture. After long journeys starting in what is now the Netherlands in 1790, via Germany, southern Russia, Canada, the United States, and Mexico, several thousand German-speaking Mennonite Christians arrived in Belize in 1958 after long and detailed discussions with the government regarding specific exemptions and privileges. They are easily recognizable by their speech, somewhat distinctive from modern Standard German, and quaint dress. World-class attractions include exploring the lush jungles with exotic plants and animals, deep-sea fishing, swimming, snorkeling and diving in the Caribbean Sea with its attractive reefs, and visiting the Mayan ruins. Income levels are still very low and the infrastructure is very basic. The Belizeans are very proud and friendly to visitors, and the tourist industry grew greatly in the last decade. History appear in Cape Cocker. Like the neighboring parts of Guatemala and Mexico, this area was settled for thousands of years by the Maya people. They are still here, an important part of Belize's people and culture. While the Spanish Empire claimed the area in the 16th century, the Spanish made little progress in settling here. The British settled first on the coast and offshore islands for logging. In 1798, British Belizean forces defeated a Spanish attempt to drive them out in the Battle of St. George's Caye, an anniversary still celebrated as a holiday each September 10. The colony of British Honduras grew in the 19th century. At first Africans were brought in as slaves, but slavery was abolished here in 1838. Many refugees from the 19th century caste war of Yucatan escaped the conflict to settle in Belize, especially the northern section. The government of Guatemala has long claimed to have inherited the 15th century Spanish claim to Belize. Although the British were willing to grant independence to British Honduras as early as the mid-1960s, this ongoing dispute played a major role in delaying full Belizean independence until 1981. Long after London granted independence to other former colonies in the region. Guatemala refused to recognize an independent Belize at all until 1991, and to this day lays claim to virtually all Belizean territory south of Belize City. Climate: tropical, very hot, and humid. The dry season typically lasts from February to May, and then the rainy season typically lasts through to November. Hurricanes that bring coastal flooding, especially in the south, are prevalent from June to November. Terrain: the flat coastal plain is swampy with low mountains in the south. The highest point is Victoria Peak at 1,160 m. Language: as a former British colony, the official language of Belize is Standard English with UK spelling rules, which makes Belize stand out from its Spanish-speaking neighbours. Spanish, Garifuna, Carib, and the Maya languages/dialects of Quiché, Mopan, and Yucatec are spoken in various parts of the country. Spanish is widely used as the first language in northern and western parts of the country. So-called Kitchen Spanish, an amalgam of Spanish and English, is common on Ambergris Caye. Belizean Creole, which has a certain degree of mutual intelligibility with Standard English, is widely spoken as well. Most Belizeans are proficient in English and at least one of these other languages. Many Belizeans speak a mix of Creole and English among friends, and Standard English to foreigners. The strong Caribbean accent may take some getting used to. Entry requirements: all visitors are required to have sufficient funds, $75 per day, and documents required for their next destination. Visa-free, nationals who hold passports or refugee documents from all European Union member states, Andorra, Antigua and Barbuda, Argentina, Australia, the Bahamas, Barbados, Botswana, Brazil, Brunei, Canada, Chile, Colombia, Costa Rica, Dominica, El Salvador, Fiji, the Gambia, Ghana, Grenada, Guatemala, Guyana, Honduras, Hong Kong, Iceland, Israel, Jamaica, Japan, Kiribati, Lesotho, Malawi, Malaysia, Maldives, Marshall Islands, Mauritius, Mexico, Micronesia, Monaco, Namibia, New Zealand, Nicaragua, Norway, Palau, Panama, Papua New Guinea, Samoa, St. Kitts and Nevis, St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Seychelles, Sierra Leone, Singapore, Solomon Islands, South Africa, South Korea, Suriname, Swaziland, Switzerland, Taiwan, Tanzania, Tonga, Trinidad and Tobago, Tunisia, Turkey, Tuvalu, Uganda, United States, Uruguay, Vanuatu, Vatican City, Venezuela, Zambia and Zimbabwe, in addition to passports issued to British Overseas Territories citizens, do not require a visa to visit Belize. All foreign nationals with a valid U.S. green card or visa for the U.S. or Schengen area are visa exempt for a maximum stay of 90 days. Permanent residents and holders of multiple entry visas of the United States may obtain a visa on arrival for a fee of U.S. visas. All other travelers not falling into the above categories require a visa prior to travel, which can be obtained in a Belizean or British embassy. Nationals of Afghanistan, Algeria, Bangladesh, Bolivia, China, Cuba, Eritrea, Haiti, India, Iran, Iraq, Kenya, North Korea, Lebanon, Libya, Myanmar, Nepal, Nigeria, Pakistan, Palestine, Sri Lanka, Somalia, Sudan, Syria and Thailand require clearance in addition to a visa. Nationals of China, PRC, must pay a repatriation fee of BZ $3,000 on arrival. Nationals of Bangladesh, India, Pakistan and Sri Lanka must pay a repatriation fee of BZ $1,200 on arrival. Cruise ship visitors do not even need a passport. The Belize Tourism Board up-to-date information maintains up-to-date information. When leaving country by land, prepare to pay taxes, mandatory BZ $30 or $15 border fee per person plus a BZ $7.50 or $3.75 pact fee per person if stay exceeded 24 hours, as of April 2016, in cash. If paying in US dollars then you may or may not receive change in BZ dollars. Traveling by plane, 1YEAR round flights are available from the USA, American, Delta, Southwest, and United, Central America, Avianca El Salvador, Transportes Aéreos Guatemaltecos, TAG, and Copa Airlines, from within Belize and from the adjacent Yucatan Peninsula in Mexico, Maya Island Air and Tropic Air. Additional seasonal flights, OCTMAR, are offered from Canada with Air Canada Rouge and WestJet. By car, from Mexico via Chetumal, or on a much rougher road from Guatemala via Melchor de Mencos. The Western Highway connects Melchor Mencos to Belize City via Belmopan, San Ignacio, while the Philip Goldson Highway, Northern Highway, connects Belize City to Chetumal in Mexico via Corozal Town and Orange Walk. By bus, the following companies operate buses from Flores, Guatemala, and from Chetumal, Mexico to Belize City: Fuentes del Norte, FDN, Mundo Maya at Suite number 26, Brown Sugar Marketplace 90, Front St. Belize City, 250 m east along Front St. from the Swing Bridge and the Ocean Ferry Belize Terminal, Black Telephone +500 and 1223-1200. Tickets are sold through Mundo Maya Travel at the San Pedro Express Terminal in Belize City. Buses stop at the marketplace along Front Street where the San Pedro Express Terminal is at. Updated September 2017 edit, S&L Travel and Tours, 91 North Front St. Belize City, Same building as Image Factory, next to Spunas Coffee, Black Telephone plus 501-1227-7593. They arrange shuttle transportation to Tikal, Flores, and Cancun from Belize City. Updated September 2017 edit, Grupo Edu, Navalos Bus Terminal in Belize City. Once nightly departure to/from Cancun and Mérida. Updated September 2017 edit, the inbound buses can only make drop-off stops between the border crossing and Belize City, while the outbound buses can only pick up passengers traveling to Mexico or Guatemala. There are additional Belizean bus companies and drivers' unions going north from Belize City to Chetumal that can pick up and drop off passengers alongside the road, with services to Orange Walk and Corozal Town. See by bus under Get Around in the below. By boat, several cruise lines call on Belize City. Unfortunately, they usually stay only one day, which doesn't allow the opportunity to really see Belize. You can visit one of the Maya ruins, ride an airboat in the salt marshes just outside the city, shop, go to the museum, go to the zoo, or take either a short cave rafting trip or go snorkeling, but that's about it. That means about 70% of the things most tourists would like aren't available, not mention the ecotourism points of interest. To Puerto Cortés, Honduras, the Gulf Cruzat, a small, rickety speedboat, 20 people, leaves Plasencia each Friday at around 9:30 a.m., for HR $50, going first to Big Creek. It returns to Plasencia on Monday. Tickets are sold in the tourist office next to the gas station. Stop by immigration first. Small speedboats operate on a daily basis between Puerto Barrios in Guatemala to Punta Gorda, cost is around $20 one way. On Tuesday and Fridays, boats operate from Livingston in Guatemala to Punta Gorda. The ride takes no more than 1 hour. It's BZ $50. There's also a BZ $30 departure tax plus BZ $7.50 marine park fee. Foreigners are required to pay departure taxes and a conservation upkeep fee when leaving Belize via land, air, or water. These fees are only applicable to locals when flying. San Pedro Belize Express has over 25 daily departures, 14 first-class boats. Getting around, the Hummingbird Highway. Belize is a fairly small country, and transportation between most destinations is rarely long or tedious. By plane, Tropic Air and Maya Island Air both have multiple flights daily to various towns around the country and to Ambergris Cay and Cay Cocker. They fly out of both of Belize City's airports, but flights from Belize City Airport, TZAIATA, are often significantly cheaper than those out of Philip Goldson International, BZEIATA. Domestic flights are generally pretty reasonable priced, and thus popular if your time is limited and budget is not. Flights are operated with planes ranging from 8 to 68 seats. Because of the limited capacity, booking in advance is advisable. For bookings from outside Belize, there is only one AirViva internet agent, who can make bookings, take payment, credit/debit card/PayPal, and then send e-tickets. Some hotels do also offer to make the flight reservation on your behalf. By bus, several competing bus lines operate on the main road in the north-south direction from Punta Gorda to Belmopan and Belize City. There are bus stations in the main towns, or simply stand on the side of the highway and wave at an approaching bus. Most buses have a conductor in addition to the driver, who stands by the door and will come to your seat to collect the fare at some point during the trip. Fares run anywhere from BZ $225 depending on distance traveled. Express buses can save up to an hour and a half, depending on the distance of your trip. They do not stop for passengers waiting on the roadside, making only scheduled pick-ups and drop-offs in towns. Most buses in Belize are retired U.S. school buses, Bluebirds, that have been given a slight makeover, a luggage rack installed, and sometimes a new paint job. They generally aren't too crowded, but you may have to stand occasionally. Some are the older MCI, Motor Coach Industries, buses that once served as a Greyhound bus, or for some other commuter or intercity bus company, in the U.S. The MCI buses are typically used for some express services or for international trips to Chetumal or chartered buses to Flores. Children selling snacks and soft drinks often board the buses at stops, and this is an inexpensive way to have a snack if you've exhausted what you've brought along or just want to try some homemade travel foods. See Belize Bus blog for updates, schedules, and / or links to other sites regarding bus travel in Belize. The Belize Bus blog site is constantly updated. Since the breakup of the Navalos monopoly in 2006, the government of Belize has divided the country up with which company to go where from Belize City. The northern zone, Belize City, Orange Walk, Corozal, Chetumal, not all buses continue to Chetumal from Orange Walk. Others may deviate east or west from the Philip Goldson Highway, Northern Highway, to other surrounding towns. They are, Albion's, Belize Bus Owners Cooperative, BBOC, Cabreras, Chels, Fraser, Joshua's, Morales, Tillettes, T-Line and Valencia. Northbound buses depart from Belize City about every half hour from 5:30 to 19:30. Jex and Sons Bus provides bus service between Belize City and Crooked Tree. The Western Zone, Belize City, Belmopan, San Ignacio, Benque Viejo del Carmen, they are, BBOC, D and E, Garras Bus Service, Middleton's, Shaw Bus Service and Westline. Westbound buses depart from Belize City between 5 o'clock and 2100 hours. Some may continue west from San Ignacio to the Guatemalan border at Melchor del Mencos, but they do not cross into Guatemala. Others may continue north or south from Belmopan, San Ignacio, etc. to reach other towns not on the Western Highway. Southern Zone, Belize City, Belmopan, Dangriga, Plasencia, Punta Gorda, buses to the Cayo and Stan Creek districts to the south are, James Bus Line, G-Line Service, Ritchie's Bus Service and Usher Bus Line. Buses authorized to operate in the rural areas of the Southern Zone are Chen Bus Line, Yaskell Bus Line, Smith Bus Line, Ritchie Bus Line, Martinez Bus Line, Williams Bus Line, Roddy. By taxi, taxis are common and relatively cheap in Belize. Most taxis do not use meters, so be sure to negotiate the price beforehand. By water taxi, boats in Belize. For those wanting a truly Belizean experience, take the water taxis from city to city. The San Pedro Belize Express has the most daily runs and departs from the Brown Sugar Terminal in Belize City at 9 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 1300 hours, 1500 hours, 1600 hours and 1730 to San Pedro and Caye Caulker. Departure from San Pedro Town Pier on Black Coral Street next to Wahoo's Bar and Grill and leaves at 7 o'clock, 8:30, 10 o'clock, 11:30, 12:30, 14:30, 16:30 to Caye Caulker and Belize City, as well as a last boat to Caye Caulker only at 1800 hours. There are boats departing from Caye Caulker to Belize City and San Pedro Town, and they leave from the pier in front of the basketball court. Caye Caulker to Belize City, 7:30, 9 o'clock, 10:30, 12 o'clock, 1300 hours, 1500 hours, 1700 hours and Caye Caulker to San Pedro, 7 o'clock, connection to Chetumal, 9:45, 11:45, 12:45, 13:45, 15:45, 16:45 and last boat 18:15. Chetumal runs are available from Caye Caulker at 7 o'clock and from San Pedro at 7:30. Traveling from Chetumal to Belize, the boat leaves the municipal pier at 15:30 en route to San Pedro, 90 minutes, and Caye Caulker, 120 minutes. Rates: Belize City to San Pedro or return, BZ $30 or $15 one way, BZ $55 or $27 round trip. Caye Caulker to San Pedro, Belize City to Caye Caulker, BZ $20 or $10 one way, BZ $35 or $17 round trip. Car rental: compared to most Central American countries, driving in Belize is relatively safe. There is not much traffic, and the four major highways are all in good condition. Unfortunately, almost every road off the four major highways is unpaved, so a four-wheel drive vehicle is advisable. It is best not to drive late at night because there is almost no lighting, road signs are poor, and the last stretch is almost certain to be on an unpaved road. You risk breaking an axle on an unseen, but immense, pothole. You won't need a map because there are few roads and it is hard to get lost. Rental rates often include insurance, so you usually don't need to buy insurance separately. If you plan on using a rental car to visit Tikal in Guatemala, you should plan ahead and you must rent from Crystal Auto Rental because no other company will let you take your car out of Belize. Belize insurance is not valid in Guatemala, so check with your credit card or car insurance company to see if they'll cover you for a trip into Guatemala. Highways. The Northern Highway, aka Philip Goldson Highway, goes from Corozal on the Belize-Mexico border to Belize City via Orange Walk. This is the highway you'll use for the International Airport, Al Tunha, and the Lamanai. Western Highway, aka George Price Highway, stretches from Belize City via Belmopan and the Cayo district to the border with the Guatemalan state of Petén at Benque. Along the way are the Belize Zoo, mile 29, the Hummingbird Highway, mile 47, Belmopan, and San Ignacio, mile 68. Major sites along this route include the adventure itineraries in the Cayo district, Mayan ruins at Sunantunc and access to the road to Caracol, and, from the Guatemalan border, the ruins at Tikal. To get to the Western Highway from the airport, go north on the Northern Highway, make a left at Burrell Boom, and follow the road for 19 kilometers to the Western Highway at Hattieville. Hummingbird Highway goes from Belmopan to Dangriga, connecting the Western Highway to the Southern Highway. You'll use this highway to get from Cayo, Belize City, or the north to the southern part of Belize. An alternative, slightly shorter, coastal highway takes you from Belize City to the Southern Highway but is a mess that is best avoided. Southern Highway runs from Dangriga, the Hummingbird Highway, to Punta Gorda, with a recently built section heading to the southern border with Guatemala. Things to do: ziplining. Soar over Belize's rainforest by taking a zipline tour. These tours usually begin with a short hike up to the first base where a tutorial is given on how to safely use your equipment. Prices range $65 to $100 and tours are run by two companies, Jaguar PA and Baque Bush Tours. Sport fishing. Sport fishing in Belize is second to none. The bonefish is the premier fly fishing game fish in the world and it can be found in the grass shallows through Belize. It's pound for pound perhaps the strongest animal in salt water. Scuba diving and snorkeling. Belize Barrier Reef. The snorkeling and scuba diving is world class and there are many exceptional dive sites to be found in Belize. One of the best ways to explore Belize waters is by chartering a yacht to make the most of your available dive time. For those with a smaller budget, snorkeling and driving excursions can be found along the beaches of Ambergris Cay and Cay Cocker. The most common excursions will take you to Hal Chan Marine Reserve and to Shark Ray Alley. These trips usually cost about $35 and include snorkel gear. Be mindful of an additional BZ$10 charge to foreigners as a park tax. This money goes toward the upkeep and protection of the reef. Diving excursions are also offered to the Blue Hole, but expect to pay a lot more for the privilege. Cave exploration. The Cayo district is characterized by limestone hills underlain by a network of underground rivers, caves and sinkholes. The caves are magnificent, with huge caverns and tight passages, underground waterfalls, and dazzling arrays of mineral-encrusted stalactites and stalagmites. This underground world was sacred to the ancient Maya and many artifacts from decorated pots to human remains are still intact in the caves. It is dangerous, and illegal, to enter the caves without a licensed guide. Most guides are trained in the geology and mythology of the caves and in modern first aid and cave rescue techniques. Ian Anderson's Caves Branch Adventure Company and Jungle Lodge, Caves Branch, Hummingbird Highway south from Belmopan. Anderson organized the initial guiding training programs in the country, out of which grew the Belize Disaster and Rescue Response Team, locally called DARITE, now an independent NGO. The Sleeping Giant and Caves branch are operated by the same owner. There are up to 16 different tours they operate every day. The Aktuntuni Chilmunal or ATM caves have the highest number of tourists visiting a tourist destination in Central America. Also known as the Cave of the Crystal Sepulchre, this river cave has pristine remnants of some Mayan human sacrifices. It is a surreal experience complete with beautiful cave formations. Buying in Belize, the currency of Belize is the dollar, ISO code BZD, divided into 100 cents. The Belizean dollar, sometimes written as BZ dollar or just as a dollar sign, dollar has been officially pegged to the US dollar, USD, at a 2:1 ratio since 1978, i.e. BZ dollar 2 equals 1 US dollar. Since this is by statute, there is no floating currency exchange rate as there is between the US dollar and the Mexican peso. However, those exchanging other currencies for Belizean dollars such as British pounds, Guatemalan quetzales, Mexican pesos, or euros should be mindful of this. Because of this simple and consistent exchange rate between these two dollar currencies, US dollars are widely accepted, but this means you should be careful to clarify which dollars you're talking about when negotiating prices. It's often better to assume Belize dollars because many merchants will jump on your uncertainty and attempt to double their price by saying, "No, in US dollars." Change can also be given in US dollars or a combination of US and Belizean dollar bills and coins. Belize dollars come in denominations of BZ dollar 2, 5, 10, 20, 50, and 100. B dollar 1 and smaller amounts are coins. The 25-cent coin is often called a shilling. 3 banks ATMs in Belize take MasterCard, the Belize Bank, Scotiabank, and Atlantic Bank. Eat. Traditional Belizean breakfast. The primary meal found virtually everywhere is red beans, clean rice, and chicken. Most chicken in the country is prepared and served on the bone. Rice and beans is a mixed dish with some spices and usually coconut milk added to make a sweet and hot staple of the Belizean diet. Beans and rice is white cooked rice with a side of stewed pinto beans. Citrus plantations are numerous, so fresh oranges and grapefruits are abundant. Pineapples, papayas, bananas, and plantains are also grown and sold in roadside markets. A famous hot sauce in Belize is Marie Sharp's, made from the very potent local habanero pepper. It comes in a variety of flavors: mild, hot, extremely hot. That odd-looking salsa on your table is really ceviche. Ceviche, also spelled as ceviche or ceviche, is a citrus-marinated seafood dish. The Belizeans use fresh raw conch and vegetables. Papusas are maize pancakes with different toppings sold in stalls on the streets in San Pedro town. It is the cheapest option if you want to eat on a budget. Eating in San Pedro can be expensive if you eat at the tourist restaurants, however, if you find the local places, meals can be very inexpensive and very tasty. Drink. Belican is the national beer and comes in 4 varieties: premium, beer, stout, and lighthouse lager. Guinness Stout is also available in Belize, but it's also brewed by the Belican Brewing Co. All are sold in returnable bottles, so make sure you are aware of the deposit if you are taking your beverages to go. One Barrel Rum is the locally distilled molasses tasting rum, and Travelers Liquors Distillery is on the Northern Highway about 6 miles from Belize City with a gift shop and hospitality bar. You can purchase rum in a variety of colors and sizes, up to a 70-gallon cask. Both are widely available around the country. But if you also like wine, there is cashew wine, which is very popular in Belize, ginger wine, sorrel wine, and blackberry wine. Learn. There are great opportunities for scuba diving off of Belize atolls. Check out Reefsci for some very interesting one-week adventures that are both informative conservation education as well as great scuba diving. If you want to learn about Belize's history, the Museum of Belize, House of Culture, and of course, traveling and discovering are recommended. Stay safe. Belize City is the most dangerous area in Belize, although it's very easy to be safe there. Remain in the tourist zone that runs just north of the marina to the southern extension to the east of the main canal. There are plenty of cocky tourist police monitoring the area and, should you have a problem, feel free to approach them. Just exercise common sense and do not go wandering around alone after dark. Stay near tourist areas or other commercial zones. The south side of Belize City is beautiful as well as dangerous. Otherwise, Belize City is a great place to go if you want to eat, learn, or shop. Other areas of Belize are generally safe, but like any other place in the world, one should always have some skepticism when dealing with strangers. Most are genuinely helpful, but it never hurts to be cautious. Under Section 5(1) of the Immigration Act, the government is entitled to deny LGBT travelers entrance to Belize. There are also no legal protections in place for victims of anti-gay discrimination in Belize. Stay healthy. Coral Reef. Belize is a relatively healthy country. Bottled water is a must in most areas. And, unless you eat only at ultra-touristic restaurants, dysentery will probably strike at some point. Be prepared with over-the-counter medication and prescription antibiotics. The U.S. Centers for Disease Control list all of Belize except Belize City as a malaria risk area, and recommends the anti-malarial drug chloroquine. Dengue fever is also a risk in Belize. Insect/mosquito bites should be prevented with appropriate clothing, repellents, and insecticides, and bed nets if sleeping in non-aircon/unscreened rooms. The sun, as anywhere else in the tropics, is very intense. Wear a long-sleeve shirt, a hat, and sunglasses, and apply high SPF sunscreen regularly. If you are spending significant time on boats or in water, such as fishing or snorkeling, take extra precautions: covered shoes, not sandals, swim shirt/rash guard, neck gaiter, and sun gloves. Many places in Belize are very hot and humid, and dehydration is a risk. An expat suggests to drink as much water as you want, and then drink that much again. The adult HIV/AIDS prevalence rate is 2.5% or 1 in every 40 adults. This is notably higher than in most of Europe or Anglo-America and also quite a bit higher than in other parts of Central America like Nicaragua or Costa Rica. Respect. Belizeans are some of the most socially relaxed people in the world, especially if you venture inland away from the tourist islands of Ambergris Caye and Caye Caulker. The pace of life is generally slower in Belize, so it's good practice to begin any social interaction, even to ask a quick question, with eye contact and a genuinely pleasant greeting. Most rural Belizeans enjoy casual conversation and you could easily find yourself chatting it up for a few hours. Hey, it's part of the charm. The Maya communities can be a little more reserved at times. As always, a little respect and politeness will carry you through. Connect. Payphones are the most common public phones and accept pre-purchased phone cards. Internet cafes can be found in larger tourist areas, but are infrequent in rural areas. The government used to prohibit allow Skype and forced tourists to call out of the country using the government-owned phone company. In a recent change, the main telephone company, Belize Telemedia Limited, has removed blocks from all voice-over Internet protocol services. Applications such as Skype and Vonage are now able to work within the country and may prove to be a cheaper medium of communication when calling back home.